We're going to turn to Matthew, chapter 12. We'll read verses 15 through 21. Aware of this, Jesus withdrew from that place. Many followed him, and he healed all their sick, warning them not to tell who he was. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. Here is my servant whom I have chosen, the one I love and whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not quarrel or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break. A smoldering whip will not be snuffed out, till he leads justice to victory. In his name, the nations will put their hope. And just in case you were reading Isaiah last week, and you came across Isaiah 42, Matthew's quoting from Isaiah 42 here, 700 years BC, before the birth of Jesus, the prophet Isaiah came on the scene. And depending on who you ask, who the greatest prophet in the history of Israel was, you're going to get one of two answers, either Elijah or Isaiah. Elijah, if you remember, was the guy, he fought Jezebel, the prophets of Baal. He was the third guy on the Mount of Transfiguration when Jesus was up there. And who showed up but Moses and Elijah. Elijah is referenced when the Jews want to refer to the entirety of the prophetic writings. Elijah was one of the first prophets in Israel, and he's considered one of the greatest, but Isaiah holds that title among the Jews as the greatest prophet. His prophetic ministry spanned the reign of 5 kings. He was around a long time, and he wrote the most. Isaiah is the largest prophetic book in the Bible. He wrote a lot. He was there for a while. One important thing to remember first is that everything in the Old Testament, everything we read in the Old Testament about Jesus, especially the prophetic books, points to the person of Jesus Christ. And that's worth repeating. Everything in the Old Testament points to Jesus Christ. I've been asked many times by many people, and I like the questions. I have a question for you. Usually makes your heart skip beat because you never know what they're going to say. But when somebody says, how much Old Testament prophecy has been fulfilled? And when I get that question, I breathe a sigh of relief because that's an easy one. All of it. Jesus came to fulfill the law and the prophets. He said so. He is Messiah. He is the one they're all pointing to. So if it doesn't point to Jesus, it doesn't matter. And it matters in the Old Testament, it's pointing to Jesus. And I mentioned already that Isaiah wrote the longest book. He's quoted in the New Testament at least 50 times. When they quote you that many times, that's their way of saying, pay attention to what this guy says. He says things about Messiah. You need to pay attention. And so we're looking at one of these today, in a short passage in Matthew 12. Matthew quotes from Isaiah 42, 1 through 4, in what's known as the Servant's Song. And it describes the nature of Messiah, who would be the Savior of Israel. Matthew's Gospel, it is written in 5 major chunks. If you really want to break it down, there's 5 major chunks to Matthew. It's centered around the 5 main teachings of Jesus. He spoke extensively 5 times, beginning with the Sermon on the Mount, first sermon, ending with what he said between Palm Sunday and his crucifixion, that big batch in there, Matthew 24, 25, and 26, where he really went on for a long time. There's 5 major teachings, and right in the middle of all those teachings, we get this glimpse into the nature of Jesus. And up until this point in Matthew, Jesus has been teaching and confronting the powers that be, primarily the Pharisees, really kind of getting in their face. And he's teaching after incredible teaching. And he passionately rebukes the Pharisees for their hypocrisy. Sometimes we enjoy reading those verses a little bit more than we probably would need to. But he really kind of sticks to the Pharisees. And right before this passage, he even confronts the temple itself. And the temple, for the Jewish people, was the very center of Jewish life. And Jesus doesn't have anything against the temple, per se. He's just replacing it. He's in the process of replacing it with himself. Because the temple is what? Where the presence of God dwelt. The temple was where the Jewish people would meet their God. It's where they would come to make atonement for sin. Well, Jesus is the presence of God. Emmanuel, God with us. He is where we meet God. He is where we go for atonement and forgiveness of sins. So in other words, he's replacing the temple as the center of Jewish life. So instead of the temple being the center of Jewish life, now Jesus needs to be the center of Jewish life. And all this is kind of a little much for the people to handle. It isn't every day that your life gets radically changed by a guy who claims to be Messiah and is telling you to do things differently than you've ever done them before. The temple was so much the center of Jewish life for 1,000 years. That's a long time when you think about it. That's all the temple. The temple, it was all about the temple. Now Jesus is coming along saying, it's me. And he knew that the people would need some time to fully comprehend and embrace what he was bringing to the table. That's why you see lines in there sometimes where it says, warning them not to tell who he was. Don't want the people getting ahead of him on this, because if they know, they're not going to connect the dots right if they don't have all the information. And Jesus is like, no, don't you tell them. Let me tell them. So he takes us to Isaiah 42, the servant song. Gives us a deeper look into the nature of Jesus. Yeah, he's a teacher. Yeah, he's tough on hypocrisy. He wants us to believe the right stuff. But equally as important is the servant nature of Jesus. And he wants each of us to embrace and live out. You know, this story in Isaiah 42 is the most famous story of the most famous prophet. It's also another bold messianic pronouncement. Here is my servant, God says, whom I have chosen, the one I love and whom I delight. Now, this is Father God talking to the prophet Isaiah about Messiah. He's his servant, chosen, loved, delighted. Now, they were expecting a king, somebody to fight their battles and gain victories over their enemies. But they get a servant. Kings aren't servants. Kings have servants. Right? Kings, the earthly kings aren't servants. When was the last time you saw an earthly king get off his throne to do something for somebody? They don't do that. Somebody else does their bidding. But Jesus, and we sing about this in one of my favorite songs, he left his Father's throne above. Whoa. You know, Jesus is the kind of king, isn't the kind of king who demands servitude. He's the servant himself who calls us to be disciples. The Father will put his Spirit on him and he will proclaim justice to the nations. That's what we want to hear, right? Justice proclaim the nations. That doesn't mean he's going to make them toe the line. It means he will proclaim to the nations the justice of God. And they will all be able to know him. They'll be able to know who he is through Jesus, because the gospel is for who? Everyone. All people. It's for all nations. By the time we get to the end of Matthew, go ye therefore to every nation, he says. Verse 19 says, he will not fall or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. Jesus isn't going to go around campaigning, blowing his own horn. He's a servant. Servants don't blow their own horns. He's simply going to serve, and people will see the Father and know that he is Messiah. Jesus' very nature is that of a servant. In verse 20 says, a bruised reed he will not break, sword and whip he will not snuff out, till he leads justice to victory. Not only is he a servant, he's a gentle servant. Jesus has no desire to injure or destroy what's broken. He's the healer. His only desire is to heal our brokenness. We're broken because of sin. We're broken. And even the world's working really hard to point that out. They don't want to believe it. But every time you turn around, you're seeing something on TV that happens because somebody is broken. And they take it out on somebody else. We're broken because of sin. Yet he took the bread. What did he do? He broke it. He called it his body. He broke his body and shed his blood so that by his stripes we can be healed. He took our brokenness unto himself and nailed to a cross. Our reeds are bruised. Our wicks smolder sometimes, don't they? And unlike earthly kings, Jesus doesn't desire to exploit our weakness and destroy us in order to move ahead in the polls. He won't break our bruised reeds or stuff out our smoldering wicks. He wants to heal us and set us ablaze for him. Yeah, that's better. Until he leads justice to victory. Everyone wants victory. Who doesn't want victory? When you set up to do something, you're aiming for what? Victory. But victory is only achieved when Jesus is named. is lifted up. Victory is achieved when one conquers another or puts someone else in their place. That may look like victory, but that doesn't mean victory. Justice will be led to victory, but it will be led there by none other than Jesus Christ. Use that candle this morning for hope. Hope is one of those words that gets tossed around a lot. Like, I hope it doesn't rain. Hope I get a certain thing for Christmas. Someone asks a question, respond, I hope so. So real hope, that hope of eternal salvation that we sing about, rests solely in the name of Jesus. 700 years BC, Isaiah talked about the nations putting their hope in his name. And he doesn't mean each individual nation voting to decide on a leader or a king. Our hope can never be in an earthly leader. Our hope isn't in a nation, any nation. It doesn't matter what nation you hail from. Your hope needs to be in Jesus. The gospel's for everyone. The nations will put their hope in his name. It's kind of hard to believe that the Jewish people thought the Messiah was just going to be for them. What Isaiah said 700 years before the Messiah, that the nations will put their hope in him. People from every nation will put their hope in Jesus Christ. And again, our concern isn't going to be about a nation. We live in a kingdom. And our king is a servant who cares about us. All of our hope is in this servant, Jesus. And you need to know this morning, the servant is still serving. That's good news. He's still serving. He's still healing. He's still not breaking our bruised reeds. He's still not going to snuff out a smoldering wick. But he will lead justice to victory. That's our hope. That's our hope. Again, we're hoping for victory. But the victory comes one way. In the name of the servant Jesus. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for the servants. Lord, servants don't often get the accolades they deserve. They often get crucified, hung on a tree. Lord, that's what happened to you. Lord, but thank you that by your stripes we're healed. Thank you for not breaking our bruised reeds or snuffing out our smoldering wicks. Lord, while we were yet sinners, you died for us. That's the good news. Fill us with your Spirit, Lord, as we receive your broken body and your shed blood, that we might be forgiven and healed in your name. Amen.